So today we're going to be looking at one of the new features for the 1.0 update. So the feature that we're going to be looking at is going to be the audio filter setting and how that can actually help you out. I do have a little real quick video clip that I'm going to show you using the audio filter and what it can actually do with the target. And one of the main things that you need to know is that with this new audio filter setting, it's really going to help you with deep targets. It's going to clean up the target to help it make it sound a lot smoother, but it's also going to help you hear some of those faint targets. So I want to show you how to actually get to the audio filter setting. That's going to be the first thing we're going to look at, and then we're going to go to our video clip, and you're going to watch the XP Deus II with the audio filter and what it's actually doing on a 14-inch 3-ringer bullet. So I wanted to show y'all how that target sort of changes with the audio filter. So we're going to look at the audio filter first, and then we will look at the video clip. So stay tuned and let's check out the new audio filter on the XP Deus II 1.0 update. Stay tuned. So now we have our XP Deus II with the 1.0 update right down here in front of us, and we are going to go to the audio filter. So how do you get to this new setting? So basically, you go to your option, okay, and you want to scroll. If audio doesn't come up at first, then naturally all you're going to do is hit your center button until you get to audio. Once you get there, you're going to press the select button underneath right here, the up arrow, and you will see a couple of different things here. You see audio out, but you're going to go to your center button to scroll through your menu, and there's the audio filter. So once you see audio filter there, you will see right now it's on a setting of 0, which means you have a 0 audio filter on. So as you go through this setting, it's going to make those faint targets sound a lot better, but it's also going to clean up that target as well. So once you get to the audio filter setting, you use your plus and your minus keys naturally, and you will notice it goes up from 1 to 2 to 3, 4, 5, and 5 is it. So 5 is the maximum amount. So if you were in a wide open field or on the beach, this audio filter is really going to help you in those situations. And you can play around with it. It's really all site dependent, just like a lot of these settings are. And you can decide, where you want to set that audio filter setting up. You get to decide. That's the great thing about the Deus II, is that it's so customizable for whatever site or whatever place that you're hunting. And so again, audio filter setting for beach hunters, it's going to be great, because if you're listening for maybe some of those deep gold rings, you definitely can adjust it, to hear those faint signals. And then also too, it will clean up a signal. So the next thing I'm going to show you is a video. It was actually done by my buddy Michael Coley, and it's showing you what the XP Deus II sounds like on a 3-ringer Civil War bullet, buried at 14 inches. And he's going to go through and show you what that starts off at 0 and what it sounds like at 5. And I want you to pay special attention to how it changes and how it cleans up as you get closer, as you go to the 5 setting, because once you get there, you can definitely hear a big difference in the way that the target sounds. So again, pay special attention to that. And I hope this helps someone. If you're looking for this audio filter setting, then you know how to get to it. Now let's watch it on video and show you what it's doing on a 14-inch 3-ringer bullet. catch you guys soon. If you haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. And we will see you guys on the next adventure. What is up? What is up, guys? It's Friday night. Glad to have everyone in here. Thank you guys for tuning in. We've got a jam-packed show. We've got a lot of people in the house. We've got 25, 26, somewhere in that range. But we've got a awesome show planned for tonight. And we're going to be talking about the update, which is what everybody's been waiting on. And it's finally here. And I know all of you got tons of questions. And I'm going to go ahead and start by saying I do not know everything about this update, but I will share with you what I've found out just in the last few days of playing around with it. And we'll walk through some of those things. Of course, the video that I just showed you was the video on the audio filter. And we're going to talk about the audio filter as well. But we've got so much stuff to really go over and to talk about. So we're going to be doing that tonight. I'm glad everyone is here. I know a lot of you have updated your machines and you're trying them out and you're looking to find, what's going to work for you. And we're going to try to assist you guys with some of those things. I've got a lot of very informative people that are in the house tonight. Michael Coley's in the house. T and Sharpshooter's in the house. Southern Relics is in the house. Glad to have you in here. But we've got a lot of people who are very knowledgeable in here. And maybe together we can all work and try to figure out some of these things as this update begins to roll out to everyone. So we're going to be looking at, some settings that I'm using. We're going to be talking about the new features, and hopefully we can help some people with this new update and help them get familiar with their Deus II, because I'm going to be honest, this update is pretty big. And a lot of you are finding out that it's changed a lot of the things that you probably were used to before. And so it's almost like we've sort of got to relearn the remote and relearn the WS6. But I think a lot of it's for the better. And I'm going to tell you why. And we're going to talk about those things as well. And again, I don't know everything. I'm going to be honest. T and Sharpshooter's on here. He was a tester for it. So he can chime in at any time and he might know something that I don't know. Michael Coley's in here. He's very knowledgeable too. But we've got tons and tons of people that can definitely assist and help throughout this live stream. So I'm looking forward to it. But before we start, as always, let's give a few shout outs. And I hope everybody's having a great work week. Ohio Fred, always great to have you in the house. Dirt Devildetectn, and I've got something to show for Dirt Devildetectn. I'm going to show that in just a few minutes. Alabama Digger, glad to have you in here. Metal Detecting with the CZ Kid. Always a good person to have in this live stream. Very knowledgeable guy too as well. 5, glad to have you. Of course, Michael Coley, 5. Wisco Detect, my moderator, one of my best friends on here. Awesome guy. Thank you, Wisco, for being in here tonight. Joe Dirt, glad to have you in here. Relic Jedi, who's also one of my main followers and subscribers. I appreciate you. Let's see who has Bells. As always, Bells is awesome. And let's see, James Bazell, glad to have you in here. And Jim Active, always. Jim Active, I've tried to help you out. There's my boy Rob. Glad to have you in here, Rob. Thank you for being here tonight. Chris, always. Chris is a great supporter and friend of the channel. Diggin 815, glad to have you in here. Of course, T and Sharpshooter, my main man, he's going to be assisting me tonight and sort of helping me out with some things. So glad to have you in here, TN. And Surfside Dan, also one of my best friends, good guy. Glad to have you in here as well. Surfside Dan, trying to get through everybody's Southern Relics, which I mentioned earlier. Let's see. I'm trying not to miss everybody. I said Ohio Fred. Linda Bennett, Keith Nixon, glad to have you in here. Keith Nixon is SC Keith, great legendary hunter. So he can tell you a lot about artifacts and relics. So if you got a question about artifacts and relics SC Keith Nixon could definitely clue you in on that. Gary Yin, glad to have you. Gary Yin, you should hopefully be getting your prize from last week. You should be getting that hopefully really soon. So be on the lookout for that. Jay Strongbow, glad to have you in here. Joe in Memphis. I'm trying to get everybody. Joshua Sipes. Josh, thank you. I got your email today. Looking forward to your package. And hopefully I didn't miss anybody. So if I did, I apologize. But I tried to hit everybody. So let's hope we did. So the 1.0 update is here. And I know a lot of you have got tons of questions. And again, I don't know that I can answer all of them. I'll do my best. And again, we've got some great people in here that can assist and help. But I can also tell you that this update, to me, is one of the best updates I've seen on a machine. And I know that a lot of people, I've heard some stories, I've heard some complaints, and I know some of you got questions. But what I'm going to tell you is that just be patient, learn the update, and that will definitely help you. Hang on one second. Got a call coming in. But that will definitely help you. Learn the update, play around with it, experiment with it. But don't just go out there and just say, hey, it's not working the way it should. I'm done with it. There's a lot to unpack in this update. And I know Sharpshooter would agree with me on this. It is a lot. And there are some changes that have been made. And if some of you watched Calabash's live video from earlier today, you found out that it can be tricky. There are some things that have been changed. There's maybe some programs and some things that you've been using that definitely are a lot different with this update. So just be patient, give it time, experiment, learn the update, get used, and try to figure out what's going to work for you. Those are my main suggestions and main advice. Now, I know some people have had some issues with the update part of it, just actually getting it update. Is there anybody in here right now that has had problems with the update process and are still having problems? So that's my first question to all of you. If you are having some of those update issues, my suggestion would be is to try to just update it again. I think Calabash said this today. I'm going to say the same thing. Just try to update it again. If you failed early on with the update, maybe because the servers were overwhelmed, you maybe used the wrong cord, maybe you unplugged it before the thing was finished successfully updating. One thing too, let me just give a couple of suggestions for those people that have not updated. Number one, make sure that when you're updating the headphones that you are using, and when you're updating the WS6 or the remote, that you're using the single data cable, a USB data cable. That'll help first off. Next thing, make sure that everything is fully charged, and make sure that your coil is in standby mode. I think all of those things are things that maybe some people didn't do. Remember, you've got to update the headphones as well as the remote. And you're going to have to repair your headphones whenever you do the update. So there are a couple of things that maybe some of you didn't know, and hopefully that helps. And, if you're having problems with the update, just be patient with it. But I feel like that I hadn't seen anybody post anything just yet. But again, I feel like, some of these things are just things that were possibly our fault, not XP's fault. So just make sure that you're doing those things. I know a lot of people are getting ready for the weekend. Maybe they're going to take their machine out to hunt with, and they're planning on updating maybe tonight or tomorrow. But those are my main points of advice for anyone that's planning on doing your update. One other thing that I noticed was that when you go through that update process and you get to the update screen on your WS6 or your remote, make sure that when you get to that part, especially on the WS6, that you hold down or press down the button to get to the confirm screen. And that was one thing that I don't think that XP, sort of put that up on the infographics that you saw coming across the screen. So definitely make sure that you do that to get to that confirm screen. And once you do that, then you will get to that confirm screen. You hit yes, and then you can go from there. Everything else is pretty much self-explanatory. And don't unplug it before it is finished downloading. Wait till it says successful on the screen, and wait till it says success on your remote or your WS6, whichever one you're doing. And I think you'll be okay if you do that. So again, those are my suggestions. Those are my tips as far as the update process goes. So hopefully that helps someone who hasn't updated yet. Just, again, follow those tips and I think you'll be okay. So we've got a couple of people that are commenting. I'm not really looking at the comments right now because I'm trying to talk too. Thank you, Sharpshooter. Sharpshooter just gave us a $2 super sticker. Thank you so much, Sharpshooter. Any donations from tonight go straight back into my channel. I recently just bought which I would have never been able to buy this without the donations from you guys. But this is my new Sony ZV-E10 camera, which I'm going to be using for my live streams from here on in. But a very, very nice camera, and you guys made that happen. So thank you so much, and I appreciate it. But again, we got a lot to talk about. We really do. So we're going to run through a lot of those things. Sharpshooter is a very knowledgeable person. If you want to check out his channel, go over there, give him a like, give him a subscribe. I know he would appreciate it. He does an excellent job. He was a tester for XP, and he knows a good deal of information about this machine. So Steve Good says, has anyone tried the update on the beach? I've seen a couple of videos, but I plan on going to the beach this weekend. I only live a mile from the beach, so hopefully I'm going to be able to show you some things on the beach with the update, what the XP Deus II is doing on the beach with this new update. So hopefully that will be coming very, very, very soon. I'm going through the comments. Steve, brother's back. He's smacking it on the salt water. So Gary N says that his brother is using it on the beach already and smacking it, which is great to hear. And again, Jim Active brings up a great point. Guys, we got to be patient with this thing. You've got to experiment with it, because what necessarily works for me might not necessarily work for you. So again, be very, very patient with this machine. Try to learn these settings and try to learn the things that you need. Metal Detecting with the CZ Kid. He said, you got to listen between the lines, learned a bunch from him. That's definitely true. Definitely true. And Sharpshooter is a wealth of information. Thank you, Michael Coley, for the donation. I really appreciate it. Michael's one of my good friends, but thank you so, so much. I appreciate any of the donations. Definitely helps out. And again, it goes right back towards the channel and bringing you guys content and bringing you guys information. So again, we got a lot to unpack. So let's start with the audio filter. So let's talk about audio filter first. So I know there were a couple of questions about audio filter. And of course, that was the first thing on my video that I show, or on the beginning of the live stream, was the audio filter. So what does the audio filter feature do? So here's what it does. It basically is helping you hear those really deep signals. It sort of enhances it. And it also cleans those deep signals up. Whereas before they might have been a little bit shaky. With this new audio filter, it will smooth those signals out. When should you start to adjust the audio filter? And Sharpshooter and I had a long conversation about this earlier. But again, if you're hunting in iron or you're hunting in a trashy site, you're probably not going to want to run that audio filter all the way to the max. So with the audio filter, what I would suggest is, if you're going to run it, especially in trash or in iron polluted sites, you're probably going to want to run that somewhere around 1 to 2 is what I'm thinking. And that's what Sharpshooter suggested. Now, if you're on the beach and you're really hunting maybe some of those deep gold rings, maybe 4, maybe 5, those would be great. But remember, it's all about sight and deciding which setting or which number is going to work good for you and what you're actually hunting. So that's the audio filter. And I think it's a great addition to what XP has done with this update. I think beach hunters are going to rejoice. I think anybody that goes out in open fields and they hunt places that aren't really heavily polluted, I think they're going to love this audio filter feature. And Sharpshooter can chime in on this too. Sharpshooter, do you have, here it is. Sharpshooter says, listening to signals and possible falses, listen to the tone and its totality, length, pitch, etc., iron tone, and behavior. And Sharpshooter is exactly right. You're going to be able to hear. And if you paid attention to that video that I showed at the beginning, what you're going to notice is that was a 3-ringer. That was a Civil War 3-ringer bullet that was buried down there 14 inches. And if you paid attention to what it sounded like at 0, you heard that it was sort of broken. It wasn't necessarily clean. And then when Michael pumped it up to 5, you noticed that it was definitely a lot cleaner, a lot clearer, and you could tell that it was a really good target. So the audio filter setting is going to play huge dividends, especially on a lot of our sites, especially in the ones that are in open ground, open field, open beach. Those are going to be places where that thing is going to shine. And even in polluted sites at 1 or 2, whatever you can get away with, I think that audio filter is going to play huge dividends. Jim Active says that filter would have helped me earlier in a big field, but I'll get to it. There you go, Jim. And so that again, that's why I put that video up, because I know some of you are already out there. You want to know how to get to it. You want to know what to do with it. You want to know where to adjust those settings. And again, that's why I did that. So again, I think you guys are going to love that audio filter. dirtdevildetectn says, my fields probably open up all kinds of new beer cans. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Let's hope. But again, it's going to clean up those really deep targets. You guys know when you were using 0.71, what you were seeing is that some of those targets would be sort of iffy, broken, but if you can smooth them out, then you're more than likely going to dig them. And if they smooth out, they're going to be probably something really good. So the audio filter is going to be something that I think everyone's going to enjoy. Ricky Bennett, glad to have you in here. Thank you, Ricky. Metal Detecting with the CZ Kid says, when hunting with this new updates, you can just about tell the difference between a false and deep iron and a good iffy signal. There's a behavioral difference and the tones change enough to dig. And he's exactly right. So I took this thing out to, and I don't know how many of you watched Calabash's live earlier, but I took it out to a spot that he and I had pretty much pummeled. And he knows the amount of iron that's in there. And guys, I didn't really dig any iron. And if I did dig any iron, it was only because I was chasing signals, because I knew that there probably wasn't going to be much left in there, because Calabash and I just hunted it to death. But you can tell those iron signals, those deep iron signals, and even the big iron signals, even the ones that are deep, they're going to have sort of that broken tone to them. And so you might adjust that audio filter just slightly in some of those iron polluted sites, or even some of those modern trash sites. Sharpshooter can definitely attest to that. You're right. Jim Active is exactly right. There's so much to unpack. The audio is now totally in our control. And Jim Active is exactly right. That's a great comment, Jim Active. Sharpshooter says, audio filter is program specific, not a global setting. That's right. And again, I'm going to refer back to Calabash's video earlier today, his live video. And he talked about that, how, these programs, there's a lot going on that was different behind the scenes than what there was originally under 0.71. So you're going to you might even find yourself switching altogether some of these programs, because you're going to find yourself using different programs that maybe you didn't use before. So if you were using Park, you might find yourself using something else, just simply for the fact that these settings and things have changed a lot in some cases. So definitely be careful with that and experiment, play around with some of these programs. I'm going to show you a program in just a few minutes that I've sort of come up with. Michael Coley and I have sort of played around with it, and Michael is an expert detectorist as well. And he and I have played around with it, and we found this to be one of the better ones that we've seen so far. And I'm going to show that in just a few minutes. Metal detecting with the CZ Kid says, you can tell deep iron, broken and buzzing, much more defined than version 7.1. And he's exactly right. I saw that right out of the gate with this update. And again, Sharpshooter can probably chime in with that as well. So let's, does anybody got any other questions about audio filter? So I wanted to make sure that we address that. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to talk about the offset full tones. And again, I do not know everything about some of these settings. I'm just going on what I've heard and what I've read and what I've seen. So the offset full tones, what it does is it basically gives you an offset on that particular number. So it's pretty much making it where if that signal is sounding a little different, then you can set that offset. And the more offset you set to it, it's going to more than likely tell you whether it's a good target or not. That's the whole purpose behind offset full tones. And you use it in full tones. And I'm going to say this already off the bat. Full tones in this machine is so much better. If you're not using full tones, I would highly suggest you using full tones. And I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why in just a minute. But full tones in this machine is just light years better than what it was previously in 0.71. So again, you can offset the tone. So again, the more you implement that, the more offset you're going to get with that particular tone. So again, it goes 5, 10, 15, and so on. Now, what I have found in iron, for you guys that are iron hunters and relic hunters, 10 to 15 tends to work really, really good. And Sharpshooter, I think, will agree with that. Sharpshooter, you can chime in at any point on the offset full tones, but 10 to 15 is what I've found that works really, really good in iron. Now, I have not tested it on the beach. I have not done those things yet, but 10 to 15 seems like to be a good range as far as the offset full tones. So if you are hunting in iron and you are hunting maybe in a polluted site, then try 10 to 15 on the offset and use full tones. Like I said, full tones, I think, really gives you the most advantage as to tonal nuances that you can possibly see. So again, I think you'll enjoy that. Let's see here. I got a couple of people. Wisco Detect says, I love full tones before, and I'm absolutely 100% loving it now. Right. And Wisco Detect, you're exactly right. I started with full tones on the Deus I. And so I was so happy when this update came out. And I know I talked about it in the live streams before all of this, that once this full tones, if they do improve the full tones, I was going to go back to it. And I'm already loving it. I can tell you that. And you can just hear so much more. Now, some people may say, hey, I don't like hearing all that. But we're going to talk about how you can help with some of that too when you're running in full tones. And we're going to get to that. And we're going to show that in just a few minutes. Jim Active says, hey, sensitive full tones, sensitive full tones, high square tones, I can tell you for a fact, target ID is now at least 50% better. Definitely, Jim Active. I'm going to talk about sensitive full tones in just a minute. Digging It Back says, hey, he's going to try and pick up a Deus II. His wife will let him. Charlie, you need to get you a Deus II, but hey, I get it. I get it 100%. we're going to be running through a lot of this update stuff too. But it is a great machine, and you guys all know I love XP Deus II. There's a lot of good machines, and I know we're mainly going to be talking about the XP Deus II tonight, but there are so many good machines out there at all different price points. And again, whatever machine works for you, that's the machine that you feel that you should go with. And whatever machine fits your budget. Don't put yourself in debt. Don't put yourself in a bad situation just to get a Deus II. Use what you can afford. Use what you like. Use what works for you, and that's my main suggestion on that. So again, we're gonna keep rolling with that. But the XP Deus II, excellent machine. Sharpshooter says persons with good hearing and heavier iron, 10 to 15, a good place for full tones offset. Right. And I'm going on what Sharpshooter has told me. Sharpshooter tested this machine thoroughly, and that's why I'm telling everyone 10 to 15 right now. So again, try 10 to 15 on the full tones offset. Try full tones, guys. I think you're going to be really, really impressed with it, and I think it's going to reap huge benefits for you. Gary N says, digging it back, do it, and then beg for forgiveness. That's right. That's what we have to do sometimes. Definitely have to do that. Michael Coley says, I've loved full tones as well. It has a lot of information in it. And that's right. And Michael's exactly right. You can tell so much from full tones, and you can hear all those different sounds. And Michael and I sort of came up with a program to sort of work that way for us as well. So try full tones, but offset full tones. Again, as you go up, you can go anywhere from 0 to 40. So those are your settings for offset full tones. You can decide if you go to 40, everything's going to sound the same. So again, you can decide how much offset you want and go through the settings and decide what works for you on your sites. So again, try offset full tones. I think you'll enjoy it. And like I said, Sharpshooter and I both are saying 10 to 15, which I think is going to be great. The other thing that I really love about this update, and that's going to be tone volume. And I don't know if any of you have played around with it or not, but tone volume is going to be something that you definitely are going to want to check out. And I'm going to try to get a video up with tone volume coming real soon. But tone volume, you've got now, especially in full tones, you've got the option to select how loud you want those tone volume bends to be. So you can select what the volume is going to sound like on each one of your bends. And by doing that, you can take iron and you can make it sound really, really quiet. You can take some of those 30s and 40s signals. You can make them really quiet. You can take 70 to 100 and you can make that really loud if you're looking for higher conductive targets. But being able to adjust that tone bend volume is just an awesome thing. And I have done that with this program that I have set up using that, and adjusting that tone bend volume is just unbelievable. And it does a fantastic job. The other day when I was hunting in iron, I could hear the iron, but it wasn't so overwhelming. And I know when I was using the original XP Deus, and even when I was using the XP Deus II, I would sort of get ear fatigue because of all the iron that I was hearing. And so sometimes I just turn the iron volume all the way off. Well, in this case, you really don't have to do that. You can actually adjust the way that iron sounds, and you don't have to hear all that iron just blaring through your ears. So again, the tone bend volume and adjusting that volume in each one of those tone bends is huge, 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 huge. Yes, please. Thank you, Chris. Please, everyone hit that like button. It's good for the algorithm. I'm sharing a lot of information that maybe some of you did not know. So again, hit that like button. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. And we're sharing a lot of information tonight, and thank you guys for being here. Greeny Meanie says, I like hearing the iron lets me know I need to slow down. Exactly. So, when you're out hunting for a site, a lot of us will leave that iron volume turned up so we can hear that iron, and we know when we're over a structure or over an old site. But you do have the option with this tone volume to adjust those bends and select however you want to as far as the hearing goes. All right, hi, Fred. We'll see you, buddy. Take care. Sharpshooter, maybe he can comment a little bit more on the tone bends and the volume adjustment. But again, I think it's going to be a huge benefit to this machine. The other thing, let's talk about another feature. So let's look at frequency max. How many of you have played around with the frequency max setting? And again, the frequency max is going to allow you to be able to change the upper frequency, the high frequency. So it goes 40, 24, and 14. So you can actually adjust those frequencies. So when you go to adjust the frequency max, as you reduce that frequency, you're going to improve the ground stability. So you're going to make it where if you are struggling with maybe mineralized soil, you could reduce the max frequency. But it's also good for checking targets because you can lower that frequency down, and you could probably tell a higher conductive target from a lower conductive target. So the frequency max setting is also a huge benefit. And again, Michael says, just like what we found out, the tone volume bend adjustment is an awesome feature. And Michael knows because he and I worked on this last little program. And yeah, it is. It's an awesome feature to have. But the frequency max setting is a really good setting because it can allow you to be able to adjust those frequencies, the upper frequencies, to where you can maybe differentiate on a target, whether it's a lower conductive target or a higher conductive target. It reduces the sensitivity to weak conductors, and the ability to accept coins mixed with nails is definitely improved with the frequency max. So again, another great feature that XP has given us in this update. The next one is going to be the high square tones. And I know a couple of people have had videos up about this, the high square tones. Some of you may be familiar with it. Some of you may not. All right, and I'm just going to go through a couple of comments here before we start talking about metal detecting with the CZ Kid. Says, I'm starting to use the frequency max quite a bit. I like max at 14. 24 works well too. I tried 24 and I tried 40. Now, let me tell you one thing that I noticed before we move on to high square tones. I think 40 does really well in the iron. So, if you're struggling with digging a lot of iron, then 40 is going to maybe help you with that problem. And Calabash had this up today, but the 40 running at 40 kilohertz, I think will help clean up some of that. And we're going to talk about some other things too that could help you if you're having a problem with falsing iron. We're going to look at that too as well. So Jim Active says, I'm only 6 hours in, but I can't wait to try it in pollution. All right, Jim. And I'm going to show you some other things too in just a minute to sort of try to help. First thing I did was turn my iron up. Haha, I got my Deus I tones back and Deus II now. Very good, Alabama Digger. General so far is my new favorite with PWM full tones and just a couple of small tweaks. And Alabama Digger brings up a good point. PWM audio in full tones is very similar to what the pitch audio was. So I do like PWM, especially when I'm using full tones. And he's exactly right. And using full tones with PWM really, really, really helps. Gary N says, I'm going to try general with 24 kilohertz for freshwater lake hunting. Might cut down on full a bit, I'm hoping. Right. And it could. Definitely could. Metal detecting with CZ Kid. I like the high square tones, but PWM is where it is for high definition. Really like the sliding scale. Very good, CZ Kid. Joe Dirt said he loves the high square tones, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. And Metal Detecting with CZ Kid says, thank you. Good to know about 40 kilohertz. Yeah, 40 kilohertz will help you, I believe, a lot in the iron. And we're going to talk about another thing, too, that'll help you in the iron in just a second. But let's go back to high square tones. Let's talk about that for just a minute. So this new audio type has a higher and richer sound to it. So you're going to be able to clean up some signals. You're going to elongate those signals with that high square tones. It's going to help you identify deep and quiet targets. So high square tones really has a very, very nice sound to it, especially on those higher conductive targets. Almost similar to the Mind Lab machines when it comes to that. But you're really going to be able to hear those tones, and you're going to be able to hear it, and it'll sort of elongate those things to give you a really clear, crisp sound, if that makes sense. Now, some people like it, some people don't. Like I said, you're the one who's going to have to determine that. I have not really used it hunting yet, but I am going to try it, and I will try to show that maybe in some coming videos. But that's all I know about high square tones. I know Mental Metal has a great video up right now, sort of showing it, testing it in his test garden. But high square tones, definitely a great option out there. And I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it. Greeny Meanie says, high square tones sounds like a combo too. I think they sound good. Very good, Greeny Meanie. Thank you. Joe Dirt says he loves the high square tones. So again, there's a lot of people that really like it. Wisco Detect says agreed, Joe Dirt. And I think it's going to be really great, especially now. It might not be great in a polluted site, like a site loaded with iron, or a site that's loaded with modern trash. But it would really be great in a site that's not so polluted. So maybe some open field hunting, and maybe even the beach too. High square tones is really going to sound really, really, really good. So high square tones, definitely. I think you're going to like it. The other thing that does anybody got any more questions about high square tones? So we're going to go to our next thing, and that's going to be the faster target ID. And we're just going to put that up. And we're going to add that to our banner here. And yeah, so hey, Dirt Devil Detecting, try high square tones and try the audio filter. Both of those things are going to be things that are going to help you in an open field. Michael Coley says high square tones should be great on the beach. I think so too, Michael. So you definitely want to try those things out on the beach. So let's look at the next thing. We're going to look at the faster target ID, and I think some of you have seen this already. Those IDs pop up real fast. If you've used general, if you use the general program, you'll notice that their default setting is going to be the big numbers. So you're going to see the big numbers pop up in the general program, and I think you guys are going to really, really, really like that. The next thing is going to be the iron target ID, which again is going to display on ferrous targets. So the iron target ID, you can put it up and it can show you whether something is iron or not. So again, it will not, if you turn it off, it will not display the ID of any ferrous targets, but only targets with an ID value higher than the discrimination setting. So again, you have a iron target ID basically is what you got. Next thing is going to be the silencer. And this is the one that I think that a lot of people are really going to be interested in. So let's talk about the silencer for just a minute. The silencer that we have in version 1.0 is not the same silencer that you had in version 0.71. Everybody hear that? It is not the same silencer. So I used to run a silencer of 0. Well, a silencer of 0 now is not the same as a silencer of 0 in 0.71. So basically what I'm seeing is I'm running a silencer of usually right around 1 or around 2 in iron. So the silencer setting has changed. You may even want to run it even up to 3, but the silencer is much, much, much improved. And I'm going to show y'all something in just a few minutes about that silencer setting. But the silencer is definitely improved, and it's going to be a game changer. To me, it is already. I can tell that versus version 0.71 and 1.0, that silencer is definitely operating a lot differently. Let's see what Greeny Meanie says. Run some tests with high square tones. It seems to give you a little more info on the tones. Very good, Greeny Meanie. So 0 would be, I mean, it's running it wide open. You're going to hear a lot of iron, and you're probably going to dig more iron with that setting at 0, more so than what you did before. I would probably suggest a 1 or a 2 in heavy iron, maybe even up to a 3. It's going to be site dependent, but a 2 or a 3 is probably where I'm going to fall. And that's what I set up my new program at. I ran at either a 2 or 3, site dependent. But again, the silencer is a lot different. It's a lot better though. Now, what Michael and I found out when I did some testing is that with the general program, the silencer didn't work as good as it did with sensitive full tones in iron. So I had a big colonial nail that I was testing. The silencer performed way better in sensitive full tones than it did in the general program. And that's just what I saw. You guys can test it out yourselves and see if that works for you. But, and I mentioned this today on Calabash's live for those of you that were on there. But the sensitive full tones really worked well with the silencer set at 2 or 3. So if you plan on hunting in iron and you're going to be using sensitive full tones, then that silencer set at 2 or 3 really performs very well, and it will knock out those square nails, and you won't get that high falsing sound that you were getting. Now you're still, I mean, I'm going to be honest, and Calabash said this today too, and I'm going to say the same thing. Guys, you're not just going to get rid of iron totally. It's just not going to happen. There's going to be times that you dig some iron. And I know Calabash was on this today where people were complaining about possibly digging some iron, but you're just not going to get rid of all of it. So, you know, all I can tell you is try these settings, see if they work for you. And for me, they worked. Okay. I took it out to a very highly loaded iron site, and running that silencer at 2 and running sensitive full tones really worked well. Try it yourself, see if it works for you. Let me know. I mean, you know, it may not work for you. I don't know, but go ahead and give it a shot and see what you find out with it. But sensitive full tones, and then running that silencer at around 2 or 3. If you want to run it at 1, run it at 1, you know. And then I'm going to talk about adjusting the tone bend. So Jay Strongbow says a colonial square nail above ground is a lot different than a steel in the ground for 250 years with a big, and he's right. But Jay, I'm telling you, I went to a site that's just loaded with these types of nails, and I wasn't digging those nails, not with sensitive full tones and not with that silencer set at 2 or 3. You're not going to get that high falsing sound. You know how we were getting those 87s and 88 signals on some of those Colonial square nails. These nails, it's not, to me, it's not doing the same thing that it was in 0.71. But try it for yourself, Jay, and let me know. But that's what I saw when I took it out to this spot and to this lot. So yeah, you're not going to get rid of everything, you know. And as much as I'd like to say, hey, this thing knocks these nails out completely, you still might dig a few nails. But I promise you, it is better than 0.71 because I've used 0.71 on the same site that's just loaded with Colonial nails. And using sensitive full tones and running it with that silencer at 2 or 3 really worked. You may even have to go up even higher than 3, but I'm just saying it did work for me. Try it yourself, see if it works for you, and then just let me know. You know, I'm just trying to give helpful hints and maybe some things to try that can help everybody out. So that's the reason why I'm telling you guys that. So he says, I know 150 sellers in my town, TN. Wow, 150 seller holes. So, but Jay, just try and just see. And yeah, what do you got to lose? Just try it and see if it works. And if it works, that'll be great. And Sharpshooter and I talked about this too. Vertical position nails can cause multi-frequency units fits. And I had this conversation with Sharpshooter because I told him when I was using and again, let's go back to this. When I was trying to test the general program, what I saw was on a vertical nail that general program, even with the silencer set at 2 or 3, was falsing in some cases. That's why I'm telling you to use sensitive full tones and just try it because it did work for me on my site. But again, it may not work on your site, but I'm just saying sensitive full tones did work for me. And it did take care of some of that falsing issue. But you're not going to get rid of everything. You're just not. And again, this site had been pillaged. Calabash and I, and Calabash even referred to it today. He dug over 120 clips or 120 targets on one video. And so that'll tell you what this site was like. And again, you're not going to get rid of all that iron. You're going to dig some iron, but he didn't dig as much iron. He didn't dig a lot of iron, even in 0.71. And I can already tell you, I believe that this update 1.0 is doing even a better job than 0.71 on this site. So for whatever that's worth, you know, again, try it, see what you like. And hopefully that helps. Jim Active says, yeah, with Sensi full tones, the higher tones will be pure. Definitely. And I was running 40 kilohertz max frequency for you guys that want to know that. And I said, you got to have a combination of things to help you in those sites. And I think those things are going to work. They might not, but try it and see what you think. Sharpshooter says, and guess what? Low chance vertical nails will sound off straight under the coil when swept. Right. And Sharpshooter's exactly right. He knows. He's run this machine every which way to Sunday. And I can tell you, he knows pretty much what this machine is going to do. Jim Active says, I was jonesing about the mid-tones today until I got over my first copper with Sensi full tones, square high tones. Wow. No mistaking that one. Jim Active. And I know you struggled a little bit right out of the gate with the update, but man, that makes me feel so good to hear that this thing is working so well for you. So it's definitely doing a really, really, really good job. Let's just go to the general program since I mentioned it a few minutes earlier. General is improved. You do have the ground subtraction on it. You do have some other things. It does perform really, really well, but in a higher iron site, I just didn't find it to be the program that worked for me. Now, that's not to say it doesn't work for you, but sensitive full tones. I haven't tried fast. I haven't tried some of the other programs, but sensitive full tones really seems like a winner in this case. So Jim Active says, yeah, it did. Good job, Jim. I'm so happy for you, buddy. Sharpshooter says, when your pinpointer is hitting way off to the side of the hole, what is usually dug? Yeah, that's true. Sharpshooter knows what that is too. Greeny Meanie says, Sharpshooter, did they change anything with pinpointing? Usually with the double D coil, I pinpoint off the tip of the coil, but it seems in the center now. And I cannot answer that question. So I'm going to I might defer that one to Sharpshooter because I really don't use my coil to pinpoint like Greeny Meanie's talking about. So Sharpshooter may be able to answer that. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Again, hit that like button. If you haven't already, I would greatly appreciate it. We got 36 people in the house. I was hoping we'd have more in here tonight, but maybe everybody's out eating or something. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, Sharpshooter says, let me double check. So we'll see what happens there. And Joe Dirt says, the first thing I noticed was commingled targets were deeper and have very strong IDs. Yeah, and I've actually seen some people complaining, saying that this machine's not that deep. And I'm going like, what do you mean it's not that deep? I mean, it's basically the same machine. So yeah, I don't get that. But what I am telling you is this machine is a better unmasker. I also think it's going to be deeper. And here's the reason why I think it's going to be deeper. It's because of that audio filter. You can adjust that audio filter and you can adjust it at any point and you can decide, whether you want to dig that target or not. And it's going to clean that target up, which is going to allow you to get to a deeper signal that maybe you would have passed over. But now with that audio filter, you can adjust it and decide whether you want to dig that target or not. So definitely. dirtdevildetectn says detecting late. Wisco Detect says 10 Sharpshooter, that would be crap in my experience. Yes. Anything off to the side usually does turn out to be not what you want it to be. Take my word for it. Michael Coley says, yes, it's deeper. Joe in Memphis says, are you guys using any notch in heavy iron or running with no notch? Right now, I'm running with no notch. Sharpshooter, I believe, has tried it with notch. He might be able to attest to that a little bit more, whether, running it with notch helps anymore. I know it would help with selective digging, definitely, but I have not run it with notch. So, Joe, I can't answer that question right now, but eventually I will try it. But right now I'm running with no notch. I like leaving my machine sort of wide open and just letting my ears be the judge for a lot of it. Let's see here. What else we got? Wisco Tech says it sounds deeper to me. Bell says my husband dug a saw medallion with the update 9-inch coil at 17 inches. He measured it. And I just dug a saw medallion not too long ago, Bell. So that's great. So yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. Tell your husband congratulations. Hey, Bells, did it have the eagle on the front of it? That's what I'm curious about. But I love those saw medallions. Those things look really, really cool. Sharpshooter brings up a great point. Don't forget about adjacent program cross-checking using an audio filter. I've been watching too much news. Cross-checking using an audio filter, etc. So again, yeah, use that audio filter. That can definitely help you and it can clean up the target. I think I just said that, Sharpshooter, but I'll say it again. So again, yes, use the audio filter, cross-check. Use the max frequency too. That can help you with determining signals as well. 17 inches is deep. Like Chris said, wow, that's deep, Bells. Alabama Digger says, good point, Sharpshooter. He's exactly right. Michael Coley says you can also use the volume adjustment instead of notch. And I'm going to show you the program that Michael and I set up. I'll show that to everyone in just a second. And you guys can take it for what it's worth. If you want to try it, you can try it. But I am going to show that in just a few minutes. Bell says that is why he measured it. It was so deep. Wow. 17 inches is outstanding. Definitely. Jim Active says, retired a year ago, going to be starting a new YouTube channel. Our first episode will be out shortly, and it will be a good one. Colonial Relics. Oh, wow. Berkshire's of Massachusetts. So we'll be on the lookout for that, Jim. Sharpshooter says, I've hunted both ways in heavy iron. Recommend folks leave iron range unnotched, right? And Sharpshooter's right, and I think that's why I've always done it that way too. Once you start implementing that notch, sometimes that can be a little bit tricky. So maybe leave it wide open, helps you with some of those signals. Okay, Bell said no, Brian, it didn't have the eagle on. I might show mine in just a minute, but mine did have the eagle on. It's pretty cool. Thank you though, Bells, for sharing that. James Bizzle says this update is much different than any other on the Deus 1 or the Deus 2. I have many hours on the Deus 1 and Deus 2, and I now have a bunch more to learn so far. It is great. James, you're going to love it, buddy. I really think that what they've done, XP, let me tell you something, and Sharpshooter can attest to this too. XP really pays attention to detail. They're not going to just release something willy-nilly. They're just not that company. And I know we've had other companies that, do update after update, but XP really takes their time with what they're doing. And they've really put a lot of time and a lot of investment into this update. And again, I think all of us are going to be happy as we really learn this update. So just be patient with it and learn it and enjoy it, because it's going to reap huge benefits. I can't wait to get out on the beach with it. Joe in Memphis says, I know it was helping with the ID in version 0.71. Didn't know if that still was the case. Yes. Target ID is faster. I think it locks on better. It's more stable to me. So Joe in Memphis, that's what I saw just with the few things that I've done this week. Again, I'm going to put a lot of it to the test this weekend, hopefully, maybe on the beach, maybe on an iron site. I'm going to try to do both of those things this weekend and make a couple of more videos. I am going to show the silencer. I actually made a video the other day with the silencer, but I want you guys to see that silencer so you can understand what I'm saying about how good the silencer is now and how it can really help you with targets that are being masked. So I look forward to showing you guys that. Gary Ann says that was too funny, right? Yes. Joe Dirt says, I also use mono program to cross-check weak targets. Very good, Joe. Nothing wrong with that. You can definitely do that. On the beach, the dive program has, Sharpshooter sort of taught me this. The dive program has become sort of my cross-checking program on the beach. And you can do the same thing on land too with the mono program as well. So Joe Dirt, that's a great suggestion for anybody that is deciding on whether to dig or not dig. Wisco Detect says he will subscribe, Jim. So there you go. I'll be on the lookout for your channel, Jim. Chris said. Sharpshooter says, leave iron range unnotched so you can hear the iron tone. It can help you, right? And Sharpshooter's right. We just talked about that. So Sharpshooter definitely chiming in. I'm thinking I may have lost a little depth with sensitive full tones, but we gained an insane amount of target ID. All right, Jim Active. Well, I didn't notice that. I ran the reactivity on 4 the other day because it was a heavily loaded iron sight, and I was still digging targets 9, 10, 12 inches deep with no problem. So I really didn't see that big of a depth loss using sensitive full tones. Joe in Memphis says, thank you, TN. I'm going out to the plantation on Sunday. Jim Active, we appreciate you, buddy. We're so glad that we've been able to help and get you through the update. Ricky Bennett said, felt good with my proficiency of 0.71. Now I'm back in the net with the first reader. Well, it is a lot. I'm going to be honest. But once you figure out what some of these things are doing, I think you're going to take it to your sites. And I think you're going to open up sites too. Some sites maybe that you've hunted really, really hard. And now you've got this update and you're going to be able to adjust the silencer. You're going to be able to adjust the offset full tones. You're going to be able to adjust the max frequency. You're going to be able to adjust the audio. You're going to be able to adjust the audio filter. All of those things I believe are going to help open up some sites that maybe you've hunted to death, and now you can go back in with this version 1 update, and those sites are going to open back up. And I think Sharpshooter would agree with me that these sites are really going to bring on a new life with this update. Sharpshooter says too that iron volume being able to be set lower is a good deal and update. Right. Yeah, you can run that iron volume a lot lower, and it's different. It's a lot different than what it was. I know when I used an iron volume of 1, that thing was blowing my eardrums off in some cases. And now with the new update, the iron volume has definitely been changed. You may have to run that iron volume a little bit higher because they've expanded that and they've made it to where it sounds a lot quieter in 1, 2, and so on, and some of those lower settings. So yeah, Sharpshooter's exactly right. And then again, like Michael was saying a few minutes earlier, that you can adjust those tone volume bends, and you can make that iron where you can barely hear it. I can hear it humming in the background, but when I get over a good target, it definitely changes it. So that's a huge, huge deal. So don't forget about those tone bends and adjusting the volume in them, because those can definitely be huge. Right. And Jim Active says he loves the iron sound and sensitive full tones. Sharpshooter says 1.0 iron volume not drowning out non-ferrous signals. Right. Yes. So Sharpshooter's right. I mean, the iron volume setting has definitely been changed. The silencer setting has definitely been changed. So that's some of the things that we're going to have to get used to. So whatever your settings were on some of your older programs in 0.71, you're going to probably have to adjust the iron volume and the silencer setting because those things are totally different than what they were under 0.71 versus 1.0. So again, you're definitely going to want to change those things. Gary N says we should be trying different settings when a target is located. And like Tien said, flip to different program, best way to figure out what works the best. Right. And that's exactly how Michael and I sort of came across what we did. We were basically just, checking targets, flipping around in some of these different programs and trying to figure out what was going to work and what wasn't going to work, how it sounded in iron, how it sounded with a target next to iron, and so on. And that's basically what we did to try to figure this out. Greeny Meanie says, I sold my Knox. Didn't that have the setting to turn down iron? It did. You had the FE setting. I think you had FE, and then you had FE, was it FE2, I believe? Yeah. So you had an iron setting on that too, where you could turn the volume down on the iron. So again, MindLab had that already in place as well. A good idea from experience is don't go out and try to learn this new update on a pounded site. We tend to make something out of nothing in that case, learn it in a target-rich environment. That's true too, but you can learn a lot from these sites that you've hunted out too, because like I said, I can go to one of my sites right now that I've hunted a lot, and I feel pretty comfortable with this 1.0 update to at least try it. I'm not, but of course, I'm not one that's easily discouraged. I mean, I'm very patient, and anybody that knows me will say, hey, this guy's the most patient guy they've ever met. I'll go out and I will hunt a site to death, and I'll keep going back to it, and I'm very patient with what I'm doing. So, and I just love metal detecting. So yeah, going out to a hunted out site doesn't necessarily, not unless you're going with expectations of you're going to find all kind of crazy stuff. Of course, I knew when I went to that site, I probably wasn't going to find anything because Calabash and I are pretty thorough detectors, and it's going to be tough, even with the update. So, but I enjoy going regardless of whether I found anything or not, because I just love metal detecting. So again, Sharpshooter says lowest setting iron volume 0.71 was too loud. That's right. He's exactly right. And I just said that a few minutes ago. Sharpshooter was even turning that thing down. There was really no in between from 1 to 0. I mean, it was just nothing or loud. Right. So Sharpshooter's right. Glad to have you in here, Bubba Smith. He says, what's up, men? If these kind of videos have been around 20 years ago, I'd be a lot richer. Yeah. I mean, we're we've definitely gone to a new level of technology and video, and who knows what people would have found if all the knowledge and all the technology and stuff was out there at that point. Joey Memphis says, dang, 10 and 0.71. I kept my iron at 5. I like to hear it. Boy, you really like to hear it if you got it set at 5, Joe, but that's good. If it works for you, use it. Jim Active, of course, brought up a good point. It takes time to train the ears. Definitely. Bubba Smith, again, it's just like getting a new phone. You just got to learn how to maneuver around in it. And that's true too, guys. All of these things, the great comments too, by the way. All of you guys are leaving some awesome things in there. So again, you got to learn it. Read the well, you don't have it's not updated in the manual, but look at what the website's saying, and look at what you're hearing on some of these videos, and just go out and experiment with it. I mean, it really is. I mean, I can tell you, and I'm going to show you these settings in just a second. I can tell you what I've used, but that, again, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have to, you're going to have to use these settings. There's plenty of other settings and things that you can use and try that may work for you. And Sharpshooter says, I tend to agree with that. Mix up your sides for learning. Right, Sharpshooter. You're exactly right. He was saying, don't go to a hunted outside, because you may get discouraged because you're not digging anything. And but I don't mind going to a hunted outside, because I'm testing it and trying to figure out, hey, this is what it's doing. So I'm not worried about finding anything. I just want to see what the machine will do in some of those hunted outsides. But some people, right, Alabama Digger's exactly right. Some people might get discouraged because they're not finding anything, and they think this update's going to change their whole world, and it doesn't. But again, try it out on a bunch of different sites, just like what Sharpshooter's saying, and I think you will learn a lot from this machine. Bone phones at 5 would be insane. That's true. If you're using those bone conduction headphones, you might get overwhelmed. It kept you awake, I bet. Michael Coley says, find a set of tones you like and stick to it. That's how you learn the machine. And he's exactly right. And, again, try some different things. Sensitive full tones and iron worked really well for me. Sharpshooter might be able to tell you. Sharpshooter, what do you think is the best in modern trash? What program do you feel works the best in modern trash, not iron? Because I have not hunted with this machine in modern trash. I've just hunted in iron so far. What do you think works really good in modern trash? What program would you suggest if somebody were doing some park hunting or some coin shooting? What would be the best program set up in that situation? We'll let Sharpshooter chime in just a second. Michael Coley says, find a set of tones you like and stick to it. Alabama Digger says, not discouraged, but making something out of nothing mean digging too many iffy signals. Right. And if you're testing it, but like me, I don't mind, because I didn't go with the expectations, but right, Alabama Digger, you're right though. Just try it out on a bunch of different sites, see what happens with it, and go from there. But there are a lot of things that you can do with this machine. It just gives you so many options. And what a great time to be a metal detector, is that you've got all this customizable stuff on your machine that you can set up and hunt a site however you want. And I would also recommend, Alabama Digger as well, I would also recommend trying different programs as well, going to a site, hunting it one way, then maybe trying it to hunt it another way with maybe a different program or different settings, because that way you're going to learn, that these sites really probably are never really hunted out in some cases too. So again, try different settings, try different programs. I think you're going to find that, certain things work really well on some sites, and certain things don't work well on some sites. So again, Bell says bone phones at 5 will shatter your skull. That's true. That's true. So I want to show you guys. There's a couple other things I wanted to talk about tonight. I know we've talked a ton about the update. I hope this has been informative. Um, I sort of went through most of the new features, and there may be. I know some of you may still have questions, but I tried to go through some of these new features and showing you what's out there, what's on it, what you can do with it, when you need to adjust it, so on. So I'm hoping that that helped. And hopefully I didn't confuse anybody else. I hope I didn't. And Sharpshooter, I hope, helped out as well, because Sharpshooter knows this machine every which way. So I just wanted to at least address a lot of the update tonight. But I do have a couple of other things I wanted to show while everybody's on. And one of the things I wanted to show, and this was from Dirt Devil Detecting, and that's this stand that you see here on my Deus II. Now, this little stand, he's got up for sale, and I don't know if he's still on there. Dirt Devil Detecting, are you still on here? But anyway, this little stand, of course, you guys know when you set your machine down, it'll flop over. With this little stand and with this addition, your machine will sit straight up on the ground, so it's not just flopping over to the side, because these stands over here on the original stand it's just not really that high up. But this will allow it to sit straight up. It's a nice little feature, especially when you set your machine down and so on. Yes, okay. Dirt Devil Detecting can tell you how you can get your hands on one of these stands. But again, it's a nice addition to your XP Deus II. So definitely Dirt Devil Detecting, share where they can actually get this stand from. And he can make you one. So definitely a great addition to the machine. So if you guys like that, Michael Coley actually got me this arm cuff cover, which is really, really nice. It's a neoprene cover. So if you like that, Michael can probably tell you, since he's on here, he can probably tell you how you can get your hands on one of these new arm cuff covers for your Deus II. But I like that. And of course, you guys see the locking mechanism, which I bought from Detecting Doodads, which I think he's back up and running. I know he was having some issues earlier, but that's that locking mechanism for your remote. But those were a couple of things I wanted to show tonight with that. Oh, you're welcome. Just share with everybody too how they can get their hands on one of these stands, Dirt Devil Detecting. Because this is really, really nice. Mental Metal's got it up on his channel as well. But it really, lets your detector sit straight up. And it is a nice, nice, nice addition to it. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the WSA headphones. Now, these are WSA 2s, which you guys can see. And it's getting ready to get warm, guys. If you're not wanting to wear your WSA XL or 2XLs, which I have here, those get really hot during the summer, especially for us guys down in the South. Then the WSA 2 back phones are really, really nice addition. If you have the remote or if you have the WS6 Master, I really love these headphones. The other neat thing about these headphones is that you can slide the puck off on this, and you can put the horseshoe audio adapter on there, and you can actually hook up any type of headphones that you want with the WSA 2s. And Sharpshooter has done a good job of showing this on his videos, so you might want to go check out his. But there's the WSA 2s. It's getting ready to get hot. If you plan on going on the beach and so on, the WSA 2 headphones, definitely great for the summer months coming. And I just got a pair too, and I love them. The audio on them, Michael Coley's been telling me about this, but the audio on them is really good. I mean, it has a really clear sound. I think it sounds, it sounds just as good, if not a little bit better than the XL2s. or the 2XLs, excuse me, the WSA 2XLs. So again, WSA 2s, if you want to really customize a little bit more and use different headphones, the WSA 2 is a great way to go. And with the summer months coming up too, a great set of headphones. You can also plug in some of the little earbuds. You can put this in your pouch or put this in your pocket, hang it on a lanyard, whatever you want to do with it, and then put in whatever type of headphones you want so you're not really hot during the summer. So again, Dirt Devil Detectin says his email is above. Did I miss that, Dirt Devil Detectin? I want to put it up there for everybody. So, but yeah, if you're interested in the stand, yeah, I didn't see it either, Dirt Devil Detectin. Share your email on the live stream, and I'll put it up. Hopefully, it's not blocking you. If it is, then I'll put it in the description. But if you're interested in the stand, Dirt Devil Detectin, it's a very sturdy stand too. I've seen a lot of people that have made some of these stands, and they're sort of cheap, but this one is not. So again, kudos to Dirt Devil Detectin. But back to the WSA. WSA gives you a lot of options for the summer months, and again, WSA 2 XLs, great set of headphones. WSA 2s here, the back phones, gives you a lot of options for the summer months. You can use whatever you want. T and Sharpshooter says WSA 2 back phones have higher pitch versus right, and that's what I was saying. I think these sound really good. So again, WSA 2 headphones, check those out, especially you guys in the summer months. You're really going to love these. I think they're not quite as heavy as the WS6s either, so they don't feel like they weigh down on your ears. So again, WSA 2 headphones, check those out. If you don't have a pair, you might want to get a pair for the summer months. So check those out as well. Dirt Devil Detectin says that his thing is made, or his stand is made from carbon fiber filled nylon. It won't break. And I can tell that right off the bat. This thing is sturdy. And so if you're looking for that stand, Dirt Devil Detectin, and again, Dirt Devil Detectin, put that email back up, and I'll put it up on the main screen so people can see it. Metal Detectin with CZ Kids said back phones sound much cleaner than the XL2s. At least mine do. My XL2s sound muffled a bit, and I noticed that too. But I really do like the WSA2s, so they're good. Are the WS2 rain resistance? Yes, they're rain resistant. They are waterproof to, I believe, to a certain extent. I can't remember what the waterproof rating is on it, but you can't hold them down under the water for a long time. So, yeah, it must be blocked. Send me. I think I have your email, but Dirt Devil Detectin, send it to me again, and I will put it up in the description. So, guys, if you are interested in the stand, I will put his email up for the stand in the description after the video is over with, if you're interested in it. Right. Jay Strombo says, yes, they are waterproof. That's right. And Michael Coley says 3 foot for 30 minutes. That's right. So, again, these things, you can get out in the rain. You can get out and you don't have to worry about them. You can sweat to death in them. And I sweat a lot, by the way. So the WSA2s are great for being out in the hot weather and being out in the rain, and you don't have to worry about them as well. Chris said that he's interested in the stand. Chris, hang out, and as soon as the video's over with, as soon as the live stream's over with, I'll put Dirt Devil Detectin's email in the description so you can get one if you're interested, because it's a nice stand. It really, really, really works well. So, and I've seen some others, and those things are, some of them are really cheap. This one is not. I can promise you that. Ben Boggs says, any word from XP as far, I have not heard any more about that, Ben. I'm hoping that that's coming really, really soon. I really like the small 5x9 coil that they had for the Deus I. So that would be fantastic if they do release one. But I don't know. I mean, right now we do not know. So hopefully that's coming really, really soon. So I hope maybe since they did this update, maybe now that that's behind them, maybe they'll focus on making this new coil. So let's hope so. Let's see. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the program. For those of you that have stuck around this long with me, I'm going to put my remote up real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my thing on, and we're gonna look at the program that I used the Relic hunt with the other day. For those of you that are interested, and if you want to try it in iron, you can try it again. I'm not guaranteeing this thing. I'm just saying this is what I used, and I thought it performed really, really well. Let me know if it's falsing in iron for you. You know, those are the kinds of things that we can all share information about, and we can learn. I mean, that's why we're on this show tonight. So it's basically to learn as much information as we can. Again, like I told you at the beginning of the video, I don't know everything about this. I mean, we're all learning, and the only way that we learn is through each other. So that's why we're here. So let's hang on one second here, and I'm going to pull up my. All right, there it is. All right, so let's give y'all a good look at. If I can get it here. All right, so what did we use the other day? So I'm going to show you guys this. All right, so let's adjust this a little bit. I'm going to turn my sensitivity down. Y'all don't want a 95 sensitivity, I know. I apologize. All right. So let's go to, all right, hang on one second. We're going to turn the sensitivity down so y'all are not getting blared to death. I'm just going to turn it down. Again, sensitivity. All right, so this is the program that I have set up, and I've just got it titled FTS for you guys that are interested. So hang on one second here. And this is the iron program that I used the other day. And this is what I found that worked pretty good for those of you that are interested. So let's look at my settings. So, of course, my sensitivity, I normally run around 90, anywhere from 90 to 93. Again, sensitivity is site dependent. My frequency max is set at 40 kilohertz, which you guys see here. I will mash this center button and go down. My iron volume, I got set at 5. You might want to run it at 4. Remember, I told you the iron volume is a lot different on the XP Deus II. The base program is sensitive full tones. Let's go back to that. So this is sensitive full tones, okay? So again, sensitive full tones, that is my base program, okay? Iron volume, I've got set at 5. My reactivity, I've got set right now at 3. Again, depending on the amount of trash that you have, you may want to adjust that. I was hunting in 4, I believe, for most of the time on this site. So again, my reactivity set at 3. You might want to try 4. My audio response is at 4. My discrimination is at 6.8. Now, I have heard of some people running that discrimination down even lower. You can choose whatever you want. But let's go into the expert menu, because this is where we're going to see some of the magic happen. So let's hold down our expert. And again, I'm using full tones. Okay, everybody sees that right there. Full tones is what I'm using. Okay, sensitive full tones. But I'm using the tones I'm using are full tones. Okay, my offset, I've got it set at 10. If you're hunting in iron, you might want to go up to anywhere from 10 to 15 is usually a good range. Bottle cap reject I did not use. I did not notch, even though, well, I do have this small notch, which I think is the default from 23 to 24. You can decide whether you want to take that out or not, but I left it alone at 23 to 24. My silencer, I'm running at 3. You could possibly lower it down to 2. Just depends on you. But again, you can decide what you want to do there. And that's pretty much it. Again, full tones, offset 10, anywhere from 10 to 15. My bottle caps are at 0. My silencer was at 2 or 3. And that's what I ran, right? So again, you can decide which one you like. So again, let's run back through this one more time. So my discrimination, I've got set at 6.8. My sensitivity, whatever you want to run it at, depends on your site. My frequency max is set at 40 kilohertz. And the reason why I set it at 40 kilohertz is because I think that 40 kilohertz performs a little better in iron. So, but you could lower it down. And if you wanted to lower the frequency max down, of course, you would hit your minus button. You could try it at 24. I know some people have tried it at 24 and they like it. And you could try it at 14. So you could do either one. And it could also depend on what you're hunting for. So naturally, 14 kilohertz is going to really sound great on a higher conductive target. But 24 would work just as well, and 40 works really well. So again, 40, 24, and 14. Iron volume, again, I ran it at 5. You might want to try 4. But again, the iron volume is a lot different because you got more settings to it. You got more, you got that scale sort of expanded out. So remember, like I said earlier, 0.71, there was really no in between 1 and 0. It was either you had it blowing your eardrums off on some of this iron, or you didn't hear it at all. And now they've changed it. So the iron volume of 4 is probably about like running the iron volume of 1 or 2 in this case. You can decide. And right, Michael said the volume bends, and we'll get to that. Greeny Meanie says, depending on the side hunting, I sometimes have to push bottle caps to 3. Right, yeah, and again, you can do that. And you can do that with some of these sites. So let's look at the reactivity I had set at 3. I'm sorry, let me go back, guys. Reactivity I had set at 3. The audio response I had set at 4. And Sharpshooter brings up a good point. So don't forget, you can run the disc down lower to 6.8 using full tones, setting it right. And that's what I was just saying a few minutes ago, Sharpshooter, that some people are running it even lower than 6.8 and are having a lot of success. And then you're back to your discrimination. Now, you can also adjust, and this is what Michael was talking about. You can also adjust the tone bends. And if we go to full tones and we hold we mash underneath the expert key, now you can adjust the volume of your bends. And you see the bends there. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bends that you can adjust. So you can adjust those bends to whatever volume you want. And of course, you can adjust the tone breaks. So this first bin I've got set up at a volume of 4. Let's go over to, let's go and let me show you how to adjust the volume. So if you scroll over, you go to volume, you can adjust that bin to whatever volume you want with the plus or minus keys. And I know this is hard to see with these comments up, so let me take the comments off. So, but anyway, you can see the volume there. You can adjust the volume to 4. You can up it if you'd like. You can go all the way up to 10. So you can make that first bin as loud as you want, okay? Or you can make it as soft as you want, which is a huge deal, which we know that first bin is going to be mainly iron. If you scroll back over, you can adjust that tone break to whatever you want as well. Okay, so you want to go down to the next bin. So all you're going to want to do is hold that button down. Now you're in the next bin. The next bin goes up to 35. So you can scroll over and you can adjust that volume of that next bin. We've got it set at 5 right now. Okay, you can go to the next bin, which goes all the way up to 50. Your tone breaks at 50. You can adjust that bin. You can adjust the volume of that bin. We've got it set at 5. So basically what we've done here is that we have the lower, anything below 50, we have lowered it down to a volume of 5. So we're barely hearing, well, we're hearing it, but we're not hearing it quite as loud. So that's a huge deal. If you scroll down to the next bin, the tone breaks at 72. And we've got it set to 10. What's up, Matthew Shipley? Glad to have you in here. So we've got it set at 10. So I'm going to hear those really, really nice and clear and loud. And then the last one, of course, we've got the tone break set at 10. So adjusting these volumes, and again, if you want to adjust the volumes, you hit this center button and you scroll over till you see the highlighted black above the volume, and you can turn that down with the plus or minus keys, or you can, I'm sorry, I'm not showing this very good, or you can turn them up with the plus key. So the minus key takes you down, plus key takes you up. But again, you can adjust these tone volumes. That's how we did it with this one. So the first bin set at 5 or 4, I think is what we got it at, 5, 5, and then we get to the tone break of 72 at 10, and then we get to the next tone break we got set at 10. And that's how I hunted on this site, and it performed really, really, really well. So that's pretty much the settings that I used on my iron loaded site. And then, of course, hit your back button, and we'll go back some more, and we're back to the program. Right. Audio filter, I ran at 0. Okay, very good question. Thank you, dirtdevildetectn, for reminding me of that. Now, you could run it at 1. You could run it at 2. I didn't try that. So, again, Gary N says, so the offset drops the iron tone as well, or changes the next to a higher tone, and then you can change with the tone bends as well. You can change with the tone bends as well. The offset actually changes the tone to sort of clean that tone up. It's basically what that offset full tones is going to do. So if it's a iron target, it's going to sort of help you understand or hear that it's an iron target, Gary. And I hope that makes sense to you. But very good question. Matthew Shipley says, between silencer, iron volume, several other settings, it's no wonder so many folks are getting falsing. It is. Matthew Shipley, you're right. There is a lot to learn. Thank you for walking through all these in a common way. I'm trying, and I'm going to have more videos up. I'm going to try to put this in ways that people can help you understand. dirtdevildetectn brought up a good one too. Yes, I'm using PWM audio. So if I want to go back to my audio setting, you would go to option, you scroll down to your audio, you would select, and let's go down here. There's my audio type, and I'm using PWM audio for those people that want to know. I think PWM gives you more tonal nuances, and I think Michael would agree with this. And Michael and I sort of came up with this together, and Sharpshooter attributing some of this as well. These were the settings that we came up with, and I'm telling you, it worked really good. You guys can try them. Again, it may not work for you, but it did work for me. And I wanted to show that. I felt like that's what I needed to do tonight to try to help people. And let me know if it's really falsing an iron. So for those of you that are watching this video, you want to go back and you want to, try these settings, then just go back and watch the settings that I chose and go out and try it. You're welcome, Gary. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to try to help. Sharpshooter's here to try to help too as well. And Michael, who's a good friend of mine, he's here to help as well too. So we're all in here trying to offer and give you guys some of the best information. And again, if you haven't, please hit that like button, because I don't know of any other channel that's giving you this type of information about this update. I don't think you're going to see this from anybody else. And again, Sharpshooter, Michael Coley, Calabash, all of us are trying to show this update and give you guys the most information that we can possibly give on this update to try to help you go out and be successful in your next hunt. So again, there aren't a lot of people out there that are giving out this information, and we're trying to do the best. Greeny Meanie says, T and Sharpshooter says he lowers the discrimination lower than 6.8. Isn't that opening up ground effects? Yes, it could, Greeny Meanie. It really could. Again, but a lot of, like what I said earlier, I think what you're going to see is you're going to have to experiment with this and see what's going to work in your soil. My soil is very mild. Let me go back to me on the screen. My soil is very mild. So, try it and, adjust that discrimination. And, hopefully that helps. But you're going to have to decide based on your site where you're hunting. And that's, you're just going to have to decide what's going to work for you in some of these different areas. So thank you, Bells. I'm trying to give out as much information as I can. I was really hoping that there would be a lot more people in here tonight. I look at it, Alabama Digger says, I look at it like this. You can have a reliable sports car like a Camaro or fully tunable Formula One car. The Camaro works everywhere, but the F1 car turned to a track with a good driver wins. That's a great analogy, Alabama Digger. Thank you for that comment, buddy. I appreciate it. He says, I hunt New England. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, you're exactly right. Michael Coley says, I think ground effects come into play below 2. I think the lowest I've run my discrimination has usually been around 6.3, 6.2. I've never really run it below 6. I mean, if Sharpshooter says it'll run below 3 or 3.8 or whatever he said earlier, then try it. He knows more than I do as far as that part of it goes. And but I usually run mine between 6.3 and 6.8. But I do try to run it, as open as I can, because I think that just gives me the best chances. Sharpshooter says, yes, lower the dis into a negative range. Cannot, but not the 3.5 setting. Okay. Mm-hmm. dirtdevildetectn says another New Englander. Very good. Well, guys, that's pretty much my show for tonight. We've gone through a lot, and I've been on here for almost 2 hours. So we've covered a lot of ground tonight, and I hope it's been informative. I hope you guys have learned something. I've lived and breathed this thing for this last week. Again, I don't know everything, and what I've said tonight, some of it may work, some of it may not. But the only thing I can tell you is go out and try it. That's all I can say. Go out and try it, experiment with it, see what happens with it. I just love detecting, and I love being able to show off these machines. XP has made a quality product here, guys, and the update is just to me, it's phenomenal. And everything that they did, and they got it up and running. And then, to update that software and to get it to where we could all access it through the cloud-based system, and we can update it that way. I wasn't expecting that. I thought we were going to have to install an updater again and all that sort of stuff. So for them to go to the cloud-based thing, so I know that they worked really, really hard on this update. So yes, definitely. Thank you, Gary, and I appreciate it. Please share my channel with some of your friends. Let them know, hey, this is what we're doing over here. We're here to help, and share it. Make sure you get the word out. We've got a lot of great people that are in here tonight. LC Hunt, thank you. I appreciate it. Yes. Hopefully I showed you something that you can try, something that will help. And just let me know, hey, this is what's working. This isn't what's working. We're all learning in this together. We're all part of this one big community. And that's how things get done. It really does. We all share in that process. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Greeny Meanie says, great show. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Gary. And great show. Teach a lot, everyone. Good times. I appreciate it, Joe. You're welcome. Again, I'm just trying to help. And a lot of what you saw tonight came through a lot of different people, and me going out and playing with it, and just trying to bring all this content together in one spot for you guys. So that's exactly what all this is about. Sharpshooter says, you're welcome, Bells. Relic Jedi says, feeling a cat buzz coming your way. Teach, newest update is going to pay off for you. Thank you so much, Relic Jedi. I sure hope so. I've got some really good sites I've got to still hunt. So I'm hoping that this update, again, maybe I'm going to find something that I possibly missed on some of those sites. I'm looking forward to it. And I've got some other sites too that a buddy of mine's going to hook me up with that has never been hunted with a Deus II. So I'm real excited about that. Alabama Digger said, good show. Yeah. Well, they missed out, Alabama Digger. That's all I got to say. I know that I have worked with this machine this week. I've agonized over this update this week. So I've gone through that learning process just like all of you guys. But I know, I really feel deep within my heart that this update is going to be something that we're all going to be glad that we got. So just hang in there with it. And if it's not working the way that you thought, then try something else. Try something new with it. And that should hopefully help you out. And just listen, watch some of these videos, see what other people are saying, and just go from there. But I think the update's going to be great. And I think that you guys are going to be the benefactors of this update. So stay tuned, because I got a feeling we're going to see a lot of really cool finds coming from some of you in the near future. So, but try that program. Try sensitive full tones for those of you that hunt iron, and set it up with that silencer set up that way, and play with those tone volumes. I really love the idea of being able, and I know I've got a Legend back here behind me, but I really love the idea of being able to adjust those volumes and those tone bends, and try that, because I'm telling you, that makes a huge difference. I don't get ear fatigue like I was before when I was just hearing all that iron. And I mean, I'm talking about heavy iron, machine gun iron. So, try those things. I think you're going to really, really, really like it. Bubba Smith says, thanks for a good show from Louisiana. Thank you, Bubba. I appreciate every one of you for being here tonight. Again, if you haven't, please share the channel, like and subscribe if you're new here. If you feel the need, a super thanks or a super chat. Remember, all of these, any donations, and I appreciate everyone who gave donations tonight, goes straight back to the channel. And it just helps me with bringing you guys good quality content, helps me with learning machines, because I know a lot of you, maybe some of you don't use XP Deus machines, but if you do a donation or something like that, I use that to buy other equipment, other cameras, all those types of things too. So I appreciate everything that you guys have done as far as that goes. But it's been a great night, and I've enjoyed like I said, time flies. I mean, it's almost 9:30. So I've been on here for almost 2 hours. And this is the longest show I've ever done by myself. So this was a very long show. And I'm working too, by the way, too, guys. I'm not retired. I've been at work all week. And so, yeah, I've been trying to bring content, get this stuff ready for you guys to show. So I appreciate each and every one of you. And stay tuned. I've got more content coming your way. We are going to show some of the things with the silencer. We're going to talk about the offset. I've got video coding how to get to those things. Again, share the channel, do those things. I would greatly appreciate it. Check out Sharpshooter's channel. He's got some great information up there. Again, hope you guys have a wonderful and great weekend. Go out and hunt with this update. Let me know. I mean, seriously, let me know how your experience is going with your update. If I can help you in any way, I'm here. Sharpshooter's here. You can comment on his stuff too. And, you know, we're all here to help. And that's what it's all about in the great scheme of things. I hope you have a great night. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll catch you guys really soon, and I'll see you on the next adventure. Take care, guys. Have a great and fantastic night. We'll see you soon.